I am very
they're
offended.
too racy. I was like, German engineering is the best thing in the world. Sorry, I had a German accent, but
German engineering,
Like
the
Huracan
finest
just
in
did
the world.
one achievement in this podcast is offend everyone in the car community in the span of like what 20 seconds.
Yeah, this is like the Xbox achievement unlocked. Hello and welcome to Racing Vtuber Rundown, your weekly podcast for all things racing VTuber news and events. I'm Kaito NASA, and we're joined with X-Ring today.
Oh, self-introduction time? Oh, yeah, okay. Sorry. my bad.
I was about to step in.
No. Okay, let me do it. Okay, so hello everyone. I'm Huracan, the founder and owner of X-Ring.
Hello everyone, I'm Mahiro Miyamoto, or Alvin, as what everyone calls me. I guess you could say the coach, or somewhat like the advisor, quote unquote, of X-Ring. So I guess you can say I'm like the Helmut Marko of X-Ring, if you can say.
Oh, and Mahiro. Okay, so Mahiro has been like the OG member of since the start of the founding day of X-Ring, and if you have been following Vtracc, or also known as IVGDC, a year back, you should have seen him on the track, and he's planning to return to Vtracc this month or next month, probably.
Yeah, like when my new sim rig comes over the sea.
Not exactly new, is it?
Yeah.
Good morning, I am Miyata Reina. I am currently a member of X-Ring. Probably not for long, but I'm currently a member of X-Ring.
Not for long. What?
Not for long.
God.
Hold up, we're getting into some drama already. Oh
No.
No. It's some sort of thing that we have in the team. With just a daily tease of Huracan. It's just what we do in the team. Because why not? Yeah.
Well,
so how did X-Ring start? I wanna know the history of X-Ring. Let's because I'm fairly new to the scene still, so I'm like trying to brush up on all like racing VTuber history in between podcast recordings.
Well, history lesson then. Okay, long story or short story, if you don't mind me asking.
Either one.
Okay,
Oh,
so
God. It's got to go for a long one.
Oh yeah, because 2 years now.
Here we go
almost,
again.
so here we go again. So basically, I was bored one day on Twitter. I was scrolling around and I saw a post from Kaito Racing. You probably know it's I don't know their status right now, but it's probably the first VTuber team in racing VTuber history, I guess. So I saw them and I was like, hold on, you could have a whole team of VTuber racing together? And that idea kind of kicked into me. And, I'm a person who just literally goes like, oh, I see this, I'm inspired, I have this idea, then I'm going to do it without planning. Yeah, that's ridiculous, I know, but that's how I do it. So instantly,
let's do it attitude.
Yeah, instantly I went to Bilibili, the video website, the largest mainstream video website and streaming website for the Chinese platform, which also kind of includes some features like Twitter, which you can post your post stuff. And so basically I started a post saying, okay, we have a foreign team of VTuber racing stuff, so why can't Chinese have it? And instantly in the comment section, IRL responded to me. So me and him, we started a team. And I dug some more research into Kaito Racing. I want to know how like all these stuff work out. So basically, I found out they were running in a series called the IVGDC, which is now named Vtracc. And I was kind of intrigued because I've never heard of a racing series filled with VTubers. I tried doing it before in China, but it didn't work out very well. That project, you could say. So, anyways, I started a team with IRL. It's called UMA Motorsport or UMA Motorsport at the beginning. And so I think we should have more members, or it's just 2 members. That's not a team. That's just 2 people. So during the time when I was trying to start a VTuber racing series back in China, I found Mahiro in my follower list, which I was really bored one day just scrolling around, and then I found Mahiro was also a racing VTuber. So I had him in as well, and so my post was also spotted by some of my fans in my fan group chat, and Zypher Yu at this time also decided to join, and that was basically the first few founding members of the Uma Motorsport. So that was it, like 4 or 5 members racing together in IVGDC for the first few rounds. It went pretty well, and some people joined along the way, and then the tragedy came.
Yeah.
I don't
guess
really
we
want
have-
to talk about it, but if you know, then you know. We had been out of tracc.eu for a year for a reason, but I couldn't really say it in public. I don't think it's a really good part for both sides. So anyways, during the time we were out, Ice and Amber suggested that we can go run in Hypo, which is the largest sim racing community in China. And in there, we participated in what you can call the largest ACC race series called the CRGP. And it was at this point where I decided we can go for a rebrand. Because for the first time, because for Uma Motorsport, I think it is a bit too selfish of me, because Uma in Japanese basically means horse. That's just the representative of me, and I don't think that's really nice. So I gotta be honest, I took some inspiration from Mirai. Well, I guess misunderstanding, because I thought Mirai was like the word for mirage, for like virtual stuff. So I thought the racing team name could be something virtual. So virtual, oh no, that goes for X, and something racing. And for, if you notice, all the German tracks, in the end, they always have something ring. So I was sleeping one day, and in my dream, this name just came together, X-Ring. Why not we put it together? And plus, in Chinese, it just sounds similar. It means the same. It means racing spirits in Chinese, if you pronounce X-Ring quickly enough. And that's how we came to be.
Actually, that's just the first time I heard that this is how the name of the team came in. Even I didn't know this.
Well, because you've been
It's
in the team.
normal.
Yeah, well, I know.
Yeah. So we had participated in CRGP, and then we found another series called Fantasy League, which was started by a famous F1 commentator in China. And at that time, Fantasy League basically had a car which is really strange, really buggy. It's made by them. And so Mahiro decided to quit out, and Zypher decided to quit out. But before Zypher went away, he said, okay, I have a co-worker who might just be more pro than me, faster than me, and he's really, really good at figuring these stuff out, figuring these setups out. So I was like, okay, bring the guy in. Although he's not a VTuber, I guess for now it can work. So here he comes. That is Elvin,
Yeah,
which is now named Mahiro Miyamoto. I think he's gonna plan for a secret little transition a bit sooner.
I will actually explain that a little bit later, but I'll let Huracan continue the story.
Yeah. So we had run in Fantasy League. That's our main focus for that part of the time, because actually after Alvin came, our team performance actually kind of went up. And before participating in Fantasy League, I thought our team would just be like, disqualified during like group race, like 12 into 6. We will probably get disqualified. I was worried of that, but we didn't. We made it into semifinal and eventually into final. And well, against the largest, you could not call largest, like the fastest Assetto Corsa team in China called E2C, which obviously we are not the fastest Assetto Corsa team in China, so we didn't stand a chance, and we lost that final. But it was a good start for rebranding the team, bring Vtuber racing to the view of the public, because this race was actually really broadly broadcasted by the F1 commentator, so it was actually largely attention by everyone. So we got our names out there, and at this time, I started to recruit more people by just scrolling through Bilibili all the time, because I would hope that the algorithm would give me more racing VTuber, and it did. every 1 month or so, a new racing VTuber will pop into my view, and I will ask them if they want to come or not, and that's how we had like a huge member base of over 40 members right now.
That's why I'm working myself to death because right now the workload is just absolutely off the roof now.
Yeah, I could say we have the largest member base in the whole world of VTuber racing, but
I'll speak on my own behalf. This is not really a good thing. Not encouraged by anyone who's trying to found a racing team. Not just restrict to VTuber, but please don't do that for your team. Don't do it. This expanding. Anyone who's working on a team is going to be worked to death. So
and
I don't encourage that.
Yeah, the reason why we got more member than we had in the UMA period is because I rebranded the team to have a more of a club feeling. That's why the full name of X-Ring is actually X-Ring Vtuber Racing Club instead of team. Because I think team would mean that you are dedicated to racing. You gotta, practice a lot, and then you gotta go for the win. But in fact, during the UMA period, this caused a lot of unhealthy issue because like people are over practicing, not caring about their health at all, and that's just ridiculous. We don't want people to do that. So, and it also got a lot of people to reject my invitation because they think, oh well, it's a team. If I gotta join, that means I gotta practice a lot. I gotta win. If I can't win, that means I'm not worthy enough to be in a team. So I think a club would be a more precise way to define us, because I want every racing VTuber to join, to unite every Chinese racing VTuber into this one platform that we create, so that they can communicate with each other. Like actually, a lot of new members who just joined us over the past half a year told me that they thought they were the only racing VTuber on Bilibili, but after they joined, they found out, what, you got 40 more of people like me here? They were surprised. It's just a good thing, because racing culture and VTuber culture is a very separated thing in China. Racing culture is not really developed in China, so it's really hard to get someone who's first interested in motorsport or even just cars in general. But we managed to get them in, and especially over the past month, our member count actually grew like by 10 or 11, I think, because of a video we post. There was a F1 meme going on in China back then. There was because of it was basically about F1 drivers doing lap time, and after they did their lap time, they had a really cool pose after their lap time, and that meme actually blew up in China because everyone think, oh wow, it's so cool, and actually brought a lot of attention to the motorsport, to the car culture. And it was at that time, so I decided, okay, well, it's highly racing related, so why can't we just use this meme to show that we exist? Because before that video, our team only had 80 followers on Bilibili, which is really not a lot. So I hired someone to make that video for us, basically just photoshopping our lap time, the background, the car just driving around with our PNG showing up, and then just saying that we are exclusively the only Chinese VTuber racing team club, actually. And this blew up. It got, for now, until now, it has like 90K views with over 1,000 likes, or maybe even more. I forgot. Maybe 5,000. And a lot of people came into my DM asking, okay, I'm a VTuber, can I join? So it really reached my expectation, because it's not only to show to the fans that we exist, but it's also to brought the attention of all other racing VTuber who are not recruited by us. And that's how we came to be into today. I guess that's a whole history lesson. Yeah.
You definitely took off there completely.
The history of X-Ring.
History of X-Ring in 15 minutes.
Yeah, that
the whole video in itself.
Yeah.
Do we have a documentary though?
Considering the video lens, I don't want
to make into like an hour-long documentary or something like that.
Yeah, I can't talk for an hour long about all the details, but it would be boring. No, nobody came here to just go for a history lecture, right?
Yeah, that's why I said that you kind of took off like with some of the details and stuff, but yeah,
whatever.
It's your team. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so we kind of got a little bit of a history, like how Huracan started the team and how Mahiro, you joined, and Mashiro was one of the founding team members. I want to hear a bit of yours.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. So Mahiro was one of the like OGs. I'm actually one of the new kids. In the team.
He was talking about the right thing. He said Mahiro and Mashiro. See, you said before podcast
I'm not the OG. I'm not the OG.
Yeah, he said Mahiro get to join the team.
See?
No, he said no. He said
Here's the thing, because we were discussing before
Okay.
the podcast, and we're saying like, hang on, so I'm Mahiro, and we have a Mashiro on the team. We're both joining the podcast. Do you think people are going to mix it up? I'll say like,
Probably.
do you think people are going to mix it up? And then here we are. And you know what's the fun thing? It's not Kaito who's mixing it up. It's we. It's we messing each other up. Like, oh my god.
Friendship.
Some scuff always happens at some point in the podcast every single week. I don't know what it is. I think it's just whenever you get VTubers to do something, scuff happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
the
bound to happen.
basic.
That's why I have my nickname on there, because apparently people won't be able to like pronounce everything correctly, and you need something to
Just call
get
him
some
Alvin
recognition.
for now. Just call
yeah.
for now.
I'll win.
I'll win.
Yeah, that's his.
win.
That's actually, it has a little story where like, because I'm one of the latecomers of the team, and I personally also race for another team in China, who are, I guess you can say like a semi-pro esport team in China, which is like one of the like most competitive team on ACC in China, and I basically got to like race with those guys over there. But the background is like that. So the reason why I got this nickname is because my teammates they just have a little unique way to pronounce my English name, and they always just come in the voice chat, and the first thing they do is be like, "I'll win," basically like that. So yeah,
Unique.
it didn't really struck me in the beginning, and then it's like everyone just start calling me that. I was like, okay, yeah, I'll take that. Basically, same thing for Callie being called Dad. It's the same thing. It's just people start calling you that, and then you just be like, yeah, whatever. You call me whatever you want.
It's like nicknames are. You don't form your own nickname. You earn them. Like for me, my original nickname in high school was Kite because of a anime series. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. Dot Hack.
No.
No.
Not familiar with it.
Well, yeah.
Maybe I'll go check it out.
The main character, his name is Kite. And then it evolved slowly into Kaito because my friend was getting into, I think it was Arc V for Yu-Gi-Oh, and one of the characters' name was Kaito because like the English dub they called him Kite, but in the Japanese it's Kaito, so they were like, oh, Kaito. So, and that's kind of just stuck with me. Like before I even became a VTuber, I was like, okay, well, I know what my VTuber name's gonna be.
That's a good thing where you have those like very quirky but yet like very recognizable nicknames. Yeah.
Before we got off on the tangent, Miyata, what was because we know a little bit about X-Ring. How did you join X-Ring, Miyata?
I was invited by Alvin, Mahiro. I'm sorry. I was invited by Mahiro back into the team.
If you don't know, they are actually brothers. So here you go.
Oh,
Because
really?
I was
Open my
reviewing.
box.
I was reviewing the replay.
Don't open my box.
The Fast Rounds Vtracc, and I heard. What? I actually heard.
The taboo.
Yeah.
The taboo.
No, but it's like, okay, well, I actually heard Julian talking about when commentating, talking about how Miyata's higher savings seems familiar as
Really?
he's seeing it on Alvin doing it. So I was
More
like,
like-
wait,
more like
does
tire
he know?
destroying.
Does he know? Does he know?
Obviously, it doesn't.
Tire destroying.
No one's gonna
more
think
like,
about it.
More like tire destroying. My tires are
Yeah, but
literally
now
gone.
you know if you watch the video. So
But Yeah, whatever.
We will cut this part out.
Yeah, cut it out, cut it out. No one knows. Keep it a secret. Yeah, cut it out, cut it out.
I don't know
God.
I don't know if Julian even watches these yet because I still haven't been approached by being sponsored by Vtracc yet.
I'm pretty sure it will at some point.
I was like, Julian, the ball is in your court now, so it's been like a little over a week now, I think. Still haven't heard anything.
Anata na seda.
Damn.
Yeah, please continue,
We
Miyata.
continue. Yeah, so I was like invited to X-Ring because like I just started playing ACC like probably less than a year ago. You know, I kind of like at Christmas I got ACC for fun, and I was actually like not that bad at ACC. I'm still like bad, but like not that bad. So like I was invited to a team, so I can probably get better at ACC and stuff. And I realized I didn't get any better. I just stuck there.
Are you saying that while setting the poll up of the first round?
I was about to say saying that while
No,
almost winning the
wasn't
first
full lap.
round and like only like falling back because of damage to the car.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunate. Like I got a lot of a lot of coaching done by Alvin and also another guy you might know called Isa Umbra.
Mm.
We got along pretty well,
Yeah,
Oh,
so it is also kind of a fun story that before going to the season we're like discussing about what cars to pick, and then oh my god, for Miyata and Umbra, they both be like, yeah, we go have some fun, and we're not going to pick the traditional cars because those are boring. We are going to pick the Honda because
worst
Honda,
decision in my
the
life.
power of
honestly.
dreams.
Yes.
They're gonna make it work. And to be fair, the Honda it's
make it work.
powerful with BOP, so yeah, they kind of rock with it, and then kind of drag me in to learn the car altogether. I don't really like driving the Honda; it's not really my kind of thing. But
Me neither.
I still found some fun out of it, and yeah, they end up driving the car, and it's pretty competitive. It's seen by Miyata getting pole, almost winning the first round, only for her to fuck it up at 130R. Of course, why not?
Yeah. Funny enough, I never fuck up that corner in practice. So.
Oh,
That's probably why.
Yeah, I've messed that corner up a lot in practice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna pay for what you have done, honestly.
Sorry, that's my bad because the setup was done by me.
It comes back to you. It's just
Yeah, it all comes back to haunt me, of course. Yeah.
like I fucked up techno a lot in practice. I never fuck up in the main race. So yeah, it all comes back in some way.
If you fuck it up enough, you know how to unfuck yourself in the race. That's how it works.
What goes around comes around, I guess.
Yeah, that's what they say. Sweet.
Yeah, we can continue.
Awkward silence.
Yeah.
The typical awkward silence in podcasts is.
Don't worry,
Yeah.
the silences are removed. I like to give a little time just in case someone's like taking a sip of water or like trying to recollect their thoughts. Because I know for me sometimes, not so much when I'm streaming or when I'm doing podcasts anymore, but I have autism, and so sometimes I have to have that little bit of a silence to collect my thoughts to continue what I'm gonna say.
I see. Like I can understand even for someone who's not had any like sort of autism or anything like that. I always prefer to have a little bit of room for myself to just let everything sink in. I'm someone that is not very how do I put it? Like I don't really like very busy and crowded environments. Like I can take it somewhat like every once in a while, but like when it gets to a certain point, I will need to find like a space or like a corner for myself to just chill out a little bit. I just found myself being more comfortable in the silence than being drowned in everything. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I have autism as well, and so like most time I just sit there and like, oh, maybe I'll just keep quiet.
Yeah.
So like that's the case. Like I'm probably thinking a lot of stuff, but like I don't really speak a lot.
It's one of those things where it's like sometimes it's just like let me just listen in, and if I feel like I can put in my input, I'll say something, but let me just kind of chill out in the quieter corner. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
feel like
easier
I'm
to observe than stepping into the action.
I'm actually the other way around. I have
that-
ADHD,
that's
so
why you
I-
you're like everyone's just teasing Huracan for being like the Kevin Estra of the team. Just like whenever you think, just like Huracan comes up with the idea, everyone is still trying to like gather their thoughts and have an idea, and Huracan just be like, yeah, fuck it, I'll do it, and then everyone just be like, no, hang on, get some thought in, get some thought in.
yeah,
It just happens every time. It's just
it's
like in driving, in like team management sort of stuff, like promotion, and then we always be like, wait, stop. Hold on for a second.
It's classic ADHD. You know, you just have 500 ideas in 1 second, and you want to do all of them. It's like you can't stop.
Yeah.
I mean, right now I don't want to stop, but you know, it feels rude to keep on talking. But you know,
Stop me now.
why?
That came out of nowhere.
I actually, every time there's awkward times where you guys are silent, I actually want to just keep talking, but I feel like, okay, well, that may be awkward, so I would stop and think, and
Yeah,
then
don't
this
worry.
awkward silence will
I
continue.
can always step in to be your break whenever you can't stop yourself. Just like
Yeah,
you do when you practice.
Yeah,
Just-
overdriving.
Just can't do that in the race car, you know. That's all on you.
Yeah. It took a lot of time for her to learn that. Actually, I'm telling you that. I have personal experience with it.
The ultimate overdriving.
Yeah. Of
You know,
course.
you're just being eager on everything. Yeah, you want to break the latest and you want to give out the throttle like the earliest, and then you found out you are facing the wrong direction the next second.
Yeah, just have a casual 360 nose go and saying a good hi to the car behind.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can always drive the 296.
That's why you see on my Discord profile that I very like Porsche, but you asked me, okay, why is your profile pic M4, and why are you driving M4 in every race? Well, because I tried the Porsche, and I actually tried to tame it, but I feel like the Porsche and me is just like, it's not going together. Never.
Sounds like a
Nah.
skill issue to me.
Yeah, you just said you're gonna give up Porsche today. You said after today's TR ACC,
Yeah,
you gotta give up Porsche.
I was talking about the Porsche. Like, as you may know, like tonight we have round 2 of Vtracc GT3, and I'm very, very tempted to consider about maybe using that chance to swap to another car, because as much as I have my love for the Porsche, as much as I complain about it but still drive it, it has some really big problems, and at least for me personally, it's still not within my ability to really get it tamed down. It's not really down to like how fast it can go, but more so like how consistent it can be. It's just, as much as I try to tame it down and sort of like compensate with my driving, but sometimes it's just a problem that is inherent with the car's balance, and it's not, the tire wear issue is not something that I can really dial out effectively with setups and driving tweaks. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe a win tonight can change that. Maybe I'll think about, oh yeah, Porsche is the best car in the world if I can win the race, but like maybe it will go the other way around if it doesn't. So I'm not sure. I'm tempted to change, but I like to keep myself open-minded to like maybe something didn't really click for me for the car, because obviously the Porsche is still driven by some of the esports drivers and it is capable of doing very well. But yeah, obviously knowing from the start, before I even start the season, I decided to go for the Porsche, knowing that it's going to be difficult. But yeah, let's see if I can still keep going. Like, my heart's telling me that I should keep going with the Porsche, but my brain's like, yeah, you're pretty much toasted. So I don't know. I would like to keep driving it, but it's definitely a consideration.
That's
exactly what. Oh, you want to skip to next topic?
No. I was gonna add to that. I was gonna say that I'm literally the same way with the Mercedes in Track GT this season, because I started with the Mercedes. I was like, I've driven the M4 a little bit, like for the first 2 races of Vtracc last season, and now that with Technoburst, I'm kind of stuck in the Aston. But let me try the Mercedes, and I'm like, okay, I've tried the Mercedes, but I also want to try all these other cars.
I mean, you always get a chance to try all the other cars, but I'll say that this is one of the great things that I really love about ACC, is that they sort of like intentionally over dialed in for all the cars. Like, they have very obvious traits and very distinct characteristics for every single car. And if you want to like be quick in one, you have to like really get used to everything, and you need to know the car in and out. But yeah, I would say that some cars are definitely a little bit more versatile than the others, and you know, like for example, like if you're talking about the Porsche, it's a very niche, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. And I'd say like for the Mercedes, I don't know, it's insanely strong in competitive races, but I don't really see a lot of people drive it, which it's kind of a shame because I really like the Merc. Personally, it's one of my backup choices if the Porsche project backfires. So I don't know. Maybe we'll be able to exchange intel, whatever you like to call it, if I do eventually decide to skip to the Mercedes boat.
Mercedes.
Mercedes. Speaking about Mercedes, the member who's not here in the podcast, Moton, actually did pretty well in the Mercedes last time in Vtracc. He nearly won the AM group, but not nearly enough.
Yeah.
He got. I think he's involved in the kind of massive incident from the start, and his car is damaged and
I'll
all
be
that.
off for a little bit. I'll be back in a sec.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
he had like an incident, I think. At least that's what he told me, and he thinks all his aero parts are damaged, and he was like 2 seconds slower in the first sector. So he's like, okay, my race is done. He just generally went slow, but his pace is good enough. I would say during practice that he shocked all of us because he's fairly new to ACC, but he showed some, spirit of non-stopping practice, which is last time we had people like that was Isa Ambra. Actually, Isa Ambra started out slower than me, but he had a lot more time practicing than me, so I think his ACC gaming time on Steam was like two times of mine right now. So that's
Only two
how
times. Damn.
Alvin was like 3 times. Okay, so I couldn't guess it large.
2,000 hours in ACC. Imagine.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah, mine's only 700, which I should probably be shameful of. I don't know.
Like
I don't know. I feel like I don't practice enough, but my ADHD always just goes like after like 30 minutes of concentrating on practice, I get some improvements in lap time. Then the ADHD kick in. Then I cannot concentrate, and then everything just it doesn't improve anymore. So every day I only got like 1 hour at most effective practice time. Everything after that is just basically plain driving. There's not much learning. So for me, for example, for Vtracc, I only get 14 hours of practice max. So
That's more than
Honestly,
me.
though, yeah. Honestly, though, an hour per day is a lot.
keeps the
for
doctor away.
Oh my god.
oh no.
Yeah, but no, it's like an hour every day. It's more than most people do on ACC. Like at least as far as I know, for most of the people I know in track, I think that the average like practice time for everyone's like what 3-4 hours. Some of them don't even some of them are pretty much no practice gangs.
Yeah, some of them are mad lads, no practice gang.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no practice gang, and it's like some of them are actually fast without practice. This is insane.
Which
to
is
me.
it's insane.
Yeah,
because
it's like for Daryl, like he's insane. Like if assuming what he said it's correct, if he's not lying, he didn't practice for last round for Bathurst. He just came in, jumped in the boat delay with 12 kilograms of BOP, came in, took 3rd place in qualifying, and I think at some point he was like 2nd in the race and keeping a very consistent pace. And most importantly, he didn't send himself into the Shadow Realm.
Wow.
Like that's impressive to me. Like without any practice at Bathurst.
Oh
like,
yeah.
Hats off.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. For me, like I was practicing my butt off at Bathurst, and I still sent myself to the Shadow Realm multiple times.
Yeah,
yeah, that
I had a few
Yeah.
close calls as well, actually.
Well, you're driving a Porsche.
Oh.
It cannot count. I mean,
basically
Yeah, but still.
Yeah, in China we don't really get people who just don't practice and can go really fast. We do have people who can just practice like a very short time and can go really fast. And we do have sometimes new players into ACC who just practice maybe like their gaming time is like under 100 hour, and they can do the same lap time as me or even faster, which is it's just insane if you ask me. Because wow, how did you even get that much of an effective practice out of like the 100 hour you spend, which is something I can't understand until this day.
Well,
Like-
I didn't got into like a acceptable like average speed until like what 500 hours into the game. So
Yeah.
it's some people are definitely have a little bit more, I guess you can say, talent than the others. But I think a good thing about sim racing is at the end it's really about putting the effort in. The time that you spend practicing, as long as you put your mind to it, it's always pays off, one way or another.
Really.
Yeah.
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 I have a question because we were on the topic a little bit about the cars that you guys are racing, and I was wondering, and we'll start with Miyata, work our way back up through to Huracan. What made you choose the car that you're currently racing?
Well, first of all, I'm not really good with any car in ACC. Like every car, I can just simply find issues that are pretty much deadly to me, like one way or another. Because like before I play ACC, I was like a Gran Turismo player, so the physics are very different. So it took a lot of time for me to adapt. So I chose the NSX since like the car was like not quite the fastest, but at least it looks cool. I guess that's the main reason, because it looks cool. Like. And also, like, when I drive other cars, it would just make me seem I'm like a very sweaty person, which I'm not. So I'm gonna take the NSX. So in case if I'm slower than others, I can say, yeah, I'm driving the NSX. So yeah, totally not skill issue, Hashtag not skill issue, So there's that.
Yeah. To me, the Aston Martin is really like its response when I apply throttle. It turns very consistently, and the linearity is very good. And I don't really care about the weight being in the front or in the back. Like I feel the difference, but it doesn't really matter to me. So like the reaction to the throttle is the number one thing for a car to me.
Yeah. Oh, and one interesting fact about Mahiro's car choice is that initially she was on the Lambo, and it wasn't like until I was in the team I started like going through every car and start to like dial in everything, and then it's just one random day where we're practicing and just find out, oh hey, the Aston feels pretty good, pretty consistent. I was like getting Mahiro was like, hey, maybe you try to hop in and try to drive it. It seems like a very consistent, very balanced car. And then she got on and got along with it. So yeah, that was the choice. I was just happy.
Really?
It wasn't really a particular reason like many of go for when they decide to choose a car.
Yeah, really, when we started the team, when we were not called X-Ring, everyone started on the NSX, and we were in 1.8 of the game at that moment. And later, like when we got the update and we got the Lambo and the Ferrari and the Porsche, and everyone realized that having NSX as the first car to drive in this game is really a bad idea.
Out everything, that's probably the worst thing you can choose, especially
Yeah,
with
that's probably the least
1.8 Honda.
Honda, the power.
But everyone thought it looked cool, and everyone thought it would be good to drive, and it was fast at the time. So yeah, we didn't really know that we made a big mistake until we are like 2 seasons into the game.
Yeah, for me, my car choice was because I simply have extreme favor, probably over extreme favor over German cars. I despise. Oh no, that's a hard word. I maybe just dislike other nationality cars. So then why? Okay, you might ask why am I driving NSX? Because I came from a different game, and in that game, it's basically like a one game where you just drive on Tokyo highways, and then in that game the NSX was OP, so I was like, okay. So I brought my simple mind into ACC, saying probably NSX will be OP here as well. But it was in 1.8, but it wasn't something that a new player can master, which really it showed a lot in the first season we're in the IVGDC. So that's why actually in season 7, so everyone moved away from NSX, just like Mahiro said. I tried out the 720, and it was actually going pretty good for me. I actually was fitting into it. But like 2 days before the start of the race, I was like, hold on, I don't think the nationality of this car fits me. I don't like British. Sorry, British people. Not people. Like I don't
Yeah,
like
I'm
British
totally
offended.
not offended.
I'm offended.
Totally not offended, even though
I
I'm
don't
not
like
British.
British cars. I think they are too classy and overpriced stuff.
Oh
no.
boy,
Oh,
totally
no.
not offended.
Nah, never British cars. Okay, and Japanese car? Nah, cheap, too cheap. Italian cars?
I am
nah,
very
they're
offended.
too racy. I was like, German engineering is the best thing in the world. Sorry, I had a German accent. Right?
German engineering,
Like
the
Huracan
finest
just
in
did
the world.
one achievement in this podcast is offend everyone in the car community in the span of like what 20 seconds.
Yeah, this is like the Xbox achievement unlocked.
Exactly.
Speed run any
Oh,
percent.
boy.
Well,
yeah.
Speed run
Yeah.
angry comment
He's quite the
section any
racist.
No,
percent.
I didn't
Yeah.
offend
You're
German
wrong.
car. I didn't offend German car, right? Because I like them. I do have to offend the Mercedes because it's like in my tier list, it's like the lowest Germany car because it's
how
just
can you do this?
too
How could
classy
you?
again, not engineered again. Because every time the experience with me in Mercedes is because like I've been in my dad's friend's car and a few times they drive a Mercedes. You know those brownish interior that the classic Mercedes have. You know the Maybach. I don't know what you call that brand, the S series or whatever.
I think they're called like the Maybach.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah.
Buck.
Maybach.
New
Maybach.
meme. New meme, everyone.
Maybach.
So new meme.
Anyways, I was in those cars a few times and I feel like, holy crap, those are just basically German Rolls Royce, and I think, oh no, I don't like expensive, over expensive or overpriced cars. Oh no.
Damn.
And you know, 3 sporty brands in Germany, fucking Audi, BMW, and Porsche. So, and you know, the dumbest thing I've done is before a season 7 of IGDC, 2 days before it, right next to my house, the road neck down my house, there's a R8 parked down the road. It was in blue, the blue that I like. And I was like, holy crap, R8 could look so good in blue. I could just go back home and make a livery right now and I will race with it. So I did. 2 days before the race, I already got used to the 720S. I don't have a setup for R8, and I spent a whole day making the livery for R8, only leaving myself 1 day to practice with the R8. Basically, no practice at all into the race. I fucked it up.
I think it was a wet Snetterton, wasn't it?
Oh no!
Yeah, it was a wet Snetterton. It was
Oh.
wet.
Indeed.
I didn't have setups. I have nothing. I have no practice with the car. I just think it's good. It's good looking. It's fitting me. I just love it.
Decide to use your 2 days to make liveries instead of practicing before a race.
Yeah, because I think
totally good
R8 looks good in blue, so it gotta happen. It gotta happen.
that's-
The aesthetics matters.
Yeah, that's where you learn, ladies and gents. Never care too much about the aesthetics. It will haunt you.
Yeah.
I agree.
Never
Yeah.
do that.
You know, I actually in that race, I think I got 3 penalties for just rejoining the track safely because I was not in control with the R8 at all.
Unsafe return.
If I go to go into the grass during wet, all I do was like slamming my throttle into the max and just doesn't care because I don't know what to do about it. And then I just spun out into the track, probably not hitting anyone. I didn't hit anyone, but a lot of people nearly hit me, so that's why I got like 3 penalties for it.
Yeah, hang on.
Which
did,
is
did
stupid.
they did Track at the time had like a penalty point system?
Yeah, which
Oh,
like
yeah.
first season, first racing, I was like 4 points up. So
Kevin
Or something.
Magnussen, ladies and gents.
yeah, that's.
You didn't help your teammate was on scoring points. That is.
Oh gosh, that's like terrifying to think. Oh yeah, I'm gonna go into the Audi with like 0 practice because I know I've talked to Renai before,
No.
and
yeah, that was-
Renai literally tells me, oh yeah, no, the Audi is fun, but it is actively trying to kill you.
Yeah.
Same with Porsche.
It's like alongside the Porsche, probably the 2 cars that I would last recommend to anyone who's just like trying to get their grasp on ACC, because the Audi, how do I put it? Like, I think it was something has to do with after the 1.9 update, like where they changed the tires physics and the suspensions physics, and then the 2 big cars that were like like the two cars that were massively affected by this update. One was the Audi. I think the other one was the Honda, where these two cars have very weird characteristics to their suspension. So they like, even for getting like, if you're getting like Go setups or Heim setups, if you do use them, you realize that for the Audi, you actually have the stiffest front suspension and you have the softest rear suspension. So it basically leaves like no room for the front to like kind of move around. So it's basically like driving on how do I describe it? Like, it's like you have a car that is like extremely stiff at the front, and then the rear basically feels like a piece of soap.
Oh no.
Like it's very helpful in high speed corners.
Driving a trolley.
Corners. Yeah, it's actually really good to drive around Suzuka for some reason, but good to drive in the context of coming from an esport background, which I am. But if you are someone who's not familiar with like the how to control the rotation of a mid-engine car, it is extremely difficult to drive. And another thing that doesn't help on the Audi is that the electronics on the Audi is absolutely terrible. Probably the worst one in ACC, where even the level 2 ABX is going to cause a lot of lockups. And the TCR basically just stops you from just plainly spinning out on torque. But like, it's so terrible that it's kind of like it pulls the car back in line, but you lose a lot of power so much that you might have just ended up better with having your TC completely off and just be careful on the throttle. This is how bad it is.
Yeah, and for me, my two favorite brands at the moment, or even before, like a year ago, was Porsche and Audi. Even now, I still try to tame these two. Just like Renan, I don't tame them for fun. I just, because I like these two brands, I just think they are the sportiest, the sport representation of German engineering, which I just favor. But they try to kill me. so like during CRGP, when we tried to run it, I was actually teammate with Mahiro, and Mahiro was like, nah, you can't be serious driving, Porsche, because like the rear tire degradation is crazy. So we swore to Audi, which the first round we didn't even participate because Mahiro was gonna like not be able to get into the server. The next round, yeah, I
keep disconnecting from the server, and I remember driving the Porsche for an hour, and the tire goes to 1.2 something. And my rears were like 1.0.
nearly busting.
Yeah,
pretty much.
But another thing that I wasn't aware at the time is that Audi is also terrible on its tire wear.
Yeah, I asked. You said Porsche is the best at tire degradation, in a bad way, and the Audi is second best. So I was like, okay, well, these are my two favorite brands. What can I resort to? Probably the best resort will be Audi. So I did, and it didn't really went well for me the first few rounds of CRGP. So I said I gotta change the car. I can't just continue sliding around every race, killing myself. No, that's not good. So Alvin actually suggested a lot of cars to me. For example, the Huracan, the 720S. I didn't take because I said no, gotta be German brands. So I
even tried to persuade Huracan that, hey, the Huracan is basically the R8. It's the exact same fucking car.
You could argue with me that it's under the Volkswagen group, but look, it's not. The origin isn't.
It's the same
I know
car.
you can call.
They have the same code.
It's the same picture.
It's the same thing.
Gear 0 instead of neutral.
Yeah, they are the same thing. They are both under Audi group. They are both under Volkswagen group, but like, nah, just the brand. If they define themselves as Italian, then let them be. I won't drive them. That's it. And the last resort, well, Alvin just told me you gotta drive the brick, the BMW. I was like, okay, well, I do then. And it turns out to be on the series, so which is a really big turnaround.
Honestly, that has to work given the fact that you're so limited in terms of your car choices.
Yeah.
Like, the Lambo was probably the best resort that I can think of at the time, but obviously you didn't like it because it wasn't German.
Yeah, exactly.
It wasn't George.
Oh god.
Man.
Yeah.
So
And yeah.
that's how I started driving the brick.
Yeah, that's why it's one big challenge of like, if anyone's trying to get into X-Ring, this is the one thing that I'll tell you. It is probably the last thing in your interest to trying to be Huracan's manager because oh my god, isn't she picky as fuck? like the BMW, like it wasn't like an active choice. It was a last resort. Like because every other car that didn't fit, it just didn't fit into your category. Like you can't go back to the Honda because like technically it's not really quick anymore. And
You could have drive the M6, I guess.
well, that's probably worse than having the M4.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, you
like
can.
driving Bentley.
Yeah, she wouldn't drive the Bentley as well. The Bentley is half German.
No.
She would. Yeah.
Don't even half German.
Well,
You need full German.
Well, the Huracan is entire German. Didn't see him driving it.
Yeah, exactly. It's basically just a R8 wrapped in.
But the badge on it, is Italian. So
Yeah.
it's like 99% German and 1% Italian. Nope, gotta be pure German. Otherwise, I don't take it.
I'm pretty sure
yeah.
there's some part on the German car that is in German.
That's
It's an
fair.
interesting
That's an interesting question.
Yeah,
That's a very question.
yeah. So I'll be fair though. The Lambo and the Audi actually behaves quite differently in ACC.
Yeah, like it's just like
yeah,
how
they
they're
appear to
tuned.
be completely different cars.
Yeah, almost polar opposite. Like it's so different that it makes you wonder whether Kuno's intentionally tried to like make these two very distinct
I think it's just
with their
because the
characteristics.
aero models different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Like I mean, look at Lambo, this sharp head. I mean, Audi
Yeah, it looks absolutely.
Audi looks more
mean.
round than
It looks mean. The Lambo.
Yeah.
Like
looks mean.
aesthetic wise, I think the Lambo tops everything. It's
No,
my
Porsche
kind
is
of
the
aesthetic.
best.
Not my
Porsche's the best.
Honda.
Yeah, but at the same time, I also really like the sort of like the very sleek, like curvy sort of thing. Like I really like the Aston, the McLaren in this sense. Like they have very smooth and like almost rounded out, flowing sort of curves, which I also really like. But like it's two different kinds of good looking. Like it's two different vibes. But I like both of them equally. I would say in some ways.
Right. It's funny
Yeah.
you mentioned the like. Oh, is it full like German parts, or is there parts from other? Because I didn't know this, but a lot of the trying to think of the category, but a lot of like high-end sports cars actually use parts from Corvette, and I didn't know that until recently.
Corvette.
Wow.
And it
Yeah.
actually
Which
has
part?
Okay, actually, I have one fun fact that probably is gonna break Huracan. So brace yourself. The engine that is being used for the R8 and the Huracan, like which is the 5.2 liter V10, right?
Yeah.
That engine actually came from Lamborghini. So technically, because R8 initially was called R8 because it had a 4. I think it was a 4.4,
No.
4.8 liter
It
V8.
actually,
V8. It was a
wasn't the
V8.
case.
It was supposed to be
it was a V8.
I
It
think the
kinda was
prototype.
in
I think the
misconception,
prototype
actually.
R8 was supposed to be a diesel V8 actually.
No. Like
They
it
cut
was kind
they
of
cut it
a common
after
misconception
production.
that the R is named after the V8 engine because it was actually
No,
named after
it's
the
actually
Le Mans
named
winner.
the race car.
Yeah. I actually just remembered that. Thanks for
The
correcting me.
release, I think, because I actually was the reader for one of the article article about R8, how the production of R8 began. So I think during the article it says during prototype time they actually had a 3-engine choice: V12, V10, and V8. One of them was actually diesel, and then they cut it in production. They just leave like gasoline V8 and V10 to the market. That was
Yeah,
later.
V10
Probably
actually
the-
came after.
The engine from the R18,
Yeah, the engine
like
from
that.
R8.
that
Yeah.
V10,
Yeah,
or was it V12? I can't remember.
I think
that
that
was
was
a
V10.
V12. I think they had
V12?
the idea of V12, like putting it V12 into it, and it was massive, but they
Hang on,
eventually cut
sorry,
it.
I'm getting a little bit confused here. What engine was used on the R18?
R18 I think is like
Yeah,
diesel
Diesel.
V6.
I
Yeah,
remember
diesel.
diesel something.
Diesel
Like Audi
V8?
started the trend of using the diesel on
Yeah,
Le
I know
Mans.
it's the diesel, but I forgot is it like a diesel V8 or V10?
I
Then
think
they
it's the
just
diesel V8, and
put it in diesel.
they just literally cut it. I think during the first year of production they still had like a V8 diesel option, but like the second year they don't, and it was
Oh, that's
gasoline
something that I
after.
don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but whatever. My point is, the current R8, the V10 engine, is by Lamborghini, which means it's a German car with an Italian engine in it.
Now you
Yeah,
know
so
why I
there you
stopped
go.
driving R8. I haven't driven it for a year now. And in my profile page, I said Porsche, not Audi.
Now this is why you would never go back.
You see, my favorite Audi now is not the R8. It's actually the R3 TCR. For a reason. Yeah,
That's a fun little car though.
Yeah.
That was
I mean, it's a inline 5 or something. I remember.
yeah, it was an inline 5.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Very unique
Yeah.
engine.
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
only inline 5 in production up to today. My
Yeah.
favorite engine is the other inline 5 that stopped production.
Was it the TTRS? I think
No, the Volvo.
the Volvo.
The Volvo.
Ah,
oh my
yeah,
god.
yeah.
If you don't know, Mahiro drives a Volvo in real life, so
A
Yeah.
proud Volvo owner.
Volvo owner.
Yeah, I drive a Volvo, and I do have a rough plan of swapping a inline 5 in it.
That is
Whopping
probably
it? Oh
yeah,
no.
that would be a
Like,
big
yeah.
project. Yeah.
I'm not racing you after I get to UK. Nah, never. I'll lose.
I'm a Nissan owner, so like one of my choices at first I was thinking about was the GTR because I also come from Gran Turismo, and I remember trying it in ACC.
The rocket ship.
Yeah, and I'm like,
Yeah.
this
Actually,
thing is
I
a
mean-
boat.
It's quite a boat, but I think after the 9.6 update, the GTR actually is very competitive around most tracks. It's just maybe a little bit awkward to drive in certain areas.
Like certain
The
corners
car's
are
actually pretty
awkward,
decent,
but
I feel like.
Yeah, its aero model is still like very old, so that's probably why it's one of the few cars that you pretty much can't move the rear end. You have to keep it on max, but it's not really a problem since the Nissan is a rocket ship on the straight. Not as rocket as the Lexus, but still very rocket.
The Lexus.
Yeah, it almost makes you think that maybe the Nissan and the Lexus kind of sucked all the power out of the Honda, so now the Honda is so freaking slow on the straight.
it's powered
Yeah.
by dreams.
Powered
Yeah.
by dreams.
Maybe-
VTEC didn't kick in.
Yo.
Yeah, maybe just need that little bit of a VTEC meat.
We need the VTEC magic in the NSX, please.
Yeah,
please,
we need
Kunos.
that right now.
Please, Kunos, if you're watching this podcast, please
Please.
add the VTEC in.
I mean,
I-
if they do, the NSX will probably be BOP by OFM like 20 kilograms every track. I think. Imagine the power. I mean, NSX doesn't suck at corners. I think it just lacks a little bit power right now. So if it does have that power, then it'll be.
That's what I've been saying for a while now.
But I think it's just
traction
possessed
control
by
is
Alonso,
actually
I think.
not bad. I mean, it's actually comparable to the Ferrari, which is ironic because NSX was already in the 90s. It was built to compare to the Ferrari. So now the NSX in game, the traction control is also actually comparable to the Ferrari as well. So
Not quite though, I think.
Not quite. I'll say maybe
close.
Way to
like
go still.
somewhat
At
on
least
par
it's-
with the Mustang. It's usable, but it's not
I mean,
OP sort of like
better than
TC.
80% of the cars. Better than M4 at least, from what I know.
Yeah, but
M4,
I would say
nah.
the common thing of the like the one common thing between the Ferrari and the Honda is probably because they're both so stiff. Like you sort of have to like the car is relying on the stiffness to rotate rather than like the other cars where you like sort of rotate with its like weight balance where the front and rear kind of like goes up and down. That sort of thing. Yeah. Really feel it in the 720 if you have driven it. Speaking of which, my car. Funny enough, I think ever since I've raced in SRO, IGTC, I think I sort of like got into this place where I sort of like play around with every car and I can do decently as long as it's a like the cars in with proper setups and everything. So I can do decent times with all the current like relevant new cars. So I would say that I don't really have a main car, but I picked a Porsche for this season just for a few things. One is because, well, it's a Porsche. That's the biggest reason why you would want to drive one. The second thing is, I would say it's probably because of some sort of I guess, heroism you can call. Because the Porsche, it's been known for being very tricky to handle and dial in. And if any of you have paid attention to the esports scene a bit, you would know who Luke Whitehead is.
Yes.
You probably is familiar with that name as a guy who is a setup engineer at Go, and probably one of the best hot lappers in ACC currently. And he's done one thing. I think it was earlier this year. I think it was around March or April. He did a 24-hour race around. Oh, hang on, was it April? Oh, it was
Honestly,
April.
it was closer to maybe like May or June, I think.
Yeah. Oh, you know that he
yeah, I watched it.
Yeah, he did a 24-hour race around the Nordschleife in a Porsche solo, and he somehow got third place.
Absolute menace.
It was insane. Like
the mad lad.
Yeah, you consider it's a 24-hour endurance race. He was driving a Porsche in the 24 hours endurance race. He was driving a Porsche in the 24-hour endurance race around the Nordschleife. He was doing a 24-hour race around the Nordschleife in the Porsche solo, and he got third place. It was a bit of a heroism, as I said, is just because, hey, if he can do such thing, then I mean, we're both driving ACC. It's also the Porsche. We pretty much got the same arsenal, apart from it's a different person behind the wheel. So, hey, if he can do that, I can try to do that. At least, even if I couldn't get to where he is right now, which is obviously you can see how good he is at the game, it would be difficult. But I always like to think about everything as I like to be open-minded about the things that are happening, including for racing. I always like to keep an attitude of, okay, if this guy can do it, then why can't I do it? I can try to do that, and if I can't do that, that means I have a room to improve up to that level. That means I can learn and improve along the way. So I always like to think about it like that. So I sort of like keeping it in this mindset before I hop into the Porsche and go over this season. That was the case, at least until very recently. I was still trying to test the car and sort of dialing in the setups and stuff around Wilson Park, and yeah, definitely hitting a bottleneck with this one, because boy, the tire wear on the Porsche is very rough. So I don't know how long can this keep up. It really depends on how I can work out this thing potentially, or somehow I can keep a very good result around track. But I don't know. At the moment, I'm not really feeling like it. But sometimes these kind of feelings can shift very quickly. So yeah, I think I'll do my best to keep at it at the moment, because I'm in certain ways I'm similar to Miyata in a way where I really don't like to go for the current metas. You see everyone in the lobby rocking the Ferrari, the McLaren. These two are basically the main go-tos for basically every single online lobby you see. You're bound to see 2 to 3 Ferraris at least for a full-size lobby. So I always like to think about maybe I can do something unique and try in other cars, because I don't know. I think in some sort of way, deep inside everyone, I think you have a part of yourself where you would like to be unique if you are capable of doing that. So I decided that the Porsche would be the choice. So yeah, that's pretty much how I chose it. But just generally, if you're talking about main cars, I probably usually stick to the mid-engine cars, like the Lambo. It was I actually used it for the first round of last season in track. Unfortunately, I didn't really get to participate in the rest of the season because it just so happens that every single race just clashed directly with the SRO schedule, which is a shame. But yeah, I think Lambo for a period of time, and the McLaren because it's the car that we drive for the SRO. And recently been playing around with the Aston Martin and the Mercedes and the Mustang, because it's the new boy. And boy, the Mustang is actually a really it's kind of fun, but it's also kind of torturing when you're trying to set hot laps with it, because it understeers.
Yes,
pretty much. And if you can tell by how I tend to choose cars, I'm not a fan of understeer. I would much rather the car to be a little bit tail happy than it being the other way around. But the Mustang has some really obvious strengths, and yeah, I found some very interesting things on the Mustang, I would say, but not my type of car. But it's always a good thing to see that even if they keep adding new stuff into ACC, it still feels very fresh and distinct. It's the one thing that pretty much kept me in this game and keep going with it. So yeah, I'll say main car. Probably I'll say the Porsche at the moment. At the moment, it is subject to change, but yeah, mainly mid-engine cars. But we'll see. I'm sort of a shapeshifter in this regard. I don't really stick to one car. I like to play around with different sort of stuff.
We've talked about like ACC a lot. Do y'all do anything in any other sims? Like, have y'all thought about iRacing or like GT7?
Speaking about that, the new season of Fantasy League is starting this month in Assetto Corsa. So we'll probably move to Assetto Corsa. Not like just a few of us will probably shift a little bit of our focus into Assetto Corsa for the Fantasy League. We're kind of looking forward to this season because well, we were second place last season. So I want to see if we can, well, not reigning champion, but reigning runner-up.
If that's a thing,
Silver streak.
that's a
new word.
Yeah, that's a new word.
That's the
Man,
that's
you're unlocking so many achievements in this one single podcast.
Making up words this one now. Okay.
new
Right.
world records happening right now live.
Yeah, it's history, boys.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Actually, Fantasy League is quite challenging this season. It's gonna be because well, unfortunately, Alvin isn't driving for us.
Yeah, so I will be
anymore.
driving for the team that I was racing in SRO with because apparently they have a few guys team up there and they want me on their lineup. So yeah, unfortunately I will be on their team because even though right now at the moment I'm still technically not a VTuber, although soon. Stay tuned.
Soon
It's
TM.
it's a little yeah, soon TM. A little shameless self promotion there, but yeah, at the moment I'm not really a VTuber, and because I feel like last season we saw like we had a slightly different how do I say, like we have slightly different regulations last year compared to this year, so it would not be the same even if I stay at the team because there's a few things that we need to overcome. Like for example, last season it was a 3v3 sort of situation. They sort of organized it as sort of like you can almost think of it like a football.
1v1 me on Rust, bro.
Yeah, it was like a 1v1, then you go further into championship sort of thing. And right now, for this season, it added on top of that. So this year it was 5v5. So it's obviously a little bit more demanding on like the overall performance rather than having this one very quick person carrying the team, because I don't think it's ridiculous to say that last season I sort of carried the team onto
You and Ambra, not me.
yeah, we sort of like single-handedly just carry everyone, though we had we did got some help. We had a really good base setup to work with, so that really helped because the mod that they made was a little bit strange.
Really buggy.
Its behavior has quite a bit of bug, so it was good that we had a very solid base setup to work with, so we don't really have to worry about things too much. And I think aside from Assetto Corsa, we a few of us I think raced in one of the off-season MX5 Cup. Yeah,
That
in
was
iRacing.
Yeah, iRacing. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think mostly as a team we raced mostly at on AC and on certain occasions AC, but other sims I don't think currently we are racing
No
in any
plan
championship
yet.
as a team. Like we do, like I personally do some iRacing and been trying to getting into LMU recently because it's the new thing, and I sort of assume that it's going to become like the quote unquote next ACC because I really like this sort of like dedicated sim titles. But yeah, no particular plan so far as far as I'm aware from Huracan.
Yeah, this is for a reason that ACC is actually the most accessible game for most Chinese players because, well, I mean, you could argue F1 is one, but I actually planned on some F1 stuff, but I don't think nobody's driving that. Especially after they said F1 24 has like some strange physics and stuff that really just, you know, for Chinese players, we care about one thing, that is the price of the game. And how easily you can just get your hand on it. That's the two biggest factors affecting how Chinese sim racers choose their sims. So for F1, you could argue it's a bit expensive because you have to buy it every year. For Assetto Corsa, it's complicated for some lazy people because the mods and stuff, every time if there's an online race, the mods could always get, something wrong, and then you gotta sort it out all the time. For iRacing, the rental part, the part that where you iRental, right?
Yeah.
where you just lost your car if you and tracks if you just don't keep paying it. It's just well, that's not in Chinese players' perspective. We have never in our history had a popular game where the game is actually rental. So I don't think. I mean, iRacing is popular around among sim racers in China, but it's like not that popular compared to Assetto Corsa Competition. For GT7, it's only based on PS, which also is a Chinese issue because PlayStation or Xbox or any of these consoles are actually not very promoted in mainland China because if you say you buy a PC to your parents, you could argue that you are using it for study.
Right.
For study reason, and if you just say
Yeah,
you're gonna buy a
I'm
console,
gonna study with
your
my
parents gonna
49
go
too.
mad. Your parents gonna go mad. So the ratio of console to PC is like really abnormal compared to other countries. So we really need a game that's PC. You can run on PC, really cheap, really easily accessible, and everything. And a lot of players playing it. So everything that fits into this condition will probably be only ACC only at this point, unless somehow OMU gets like a lot of favors and stuff. But I don't really see that coming for now, unless ACC starts to stop updating and then AC Evo doesn't do good. We'll have to see about that.
I think at the time being ACC, it's sort of like coming to like near
And then,
the
yeah.
end of the life cycle. Although with other sims being still sort of in its like post-launch state, which is things a little bit rough. It has a bit of bug and needs optimizing. ACC probably will still have, I would say, at least another year, maybe two. But I would say the main reason why most of us here have gone for ACC is probably because like GT3, I think it's fair to say that aside from F1, it's probably the most popular racing category. I think it's just simply because of the fact that it's sort of like the closest thing that people can get to drive like supercars and stuff, apart from maybe doing it in AC. But I think ACC generally it's a little bit more polished than Assetto Corsa. You sort of have to like do a lot of DIYing over there. And the one thing that I personally found about ACC is that the general setups, like usually for different sims, like especially for iRacing, that is a big offender. The setups are a myth for, I would say, 99% of the community that is racing in. So ACC is sort of like an outlier here in terms of like right now in its current state. Like a decent setup is not difficult to come by. You can find them over on YouTube. You can find them on sometimes like you can check them out by watching some streamers. You can buy like actual like full products for setups, like a full pack of esports setups, with namely Go and Heimo. And even if you try to like do your own setups, it isn't really too difficult. Many of the things sort of like have a fixated direction in terms of how you would need to dial it in. So it's sort of like just obviously it's still not easy to try and to optimize everything, as I experienced time and time again with certain cars. I'm looking at you, Porsche. Generally, like it's not difficult for people to get like a decent 90%, 95% setup. It's accessible for most people, so I would say that it's not really, most people don't really feel that handicapped when they go into ACC and trying to race competitively.
I do have a bit of a question, and we kind of touched on it a little bit because of the how accessible some sims are compared to others in mainland China. Compared to like the esports scene, where's like the sim racing level for esports over there? Because I know like I was big into League of Legends for a time, and I still watch like League of Legends esports, and I know like I think League is the biggest esport in China, and so I was wondering like where sim racing falls into that, and like how a lot of people in China get into sim racing. Because like I didn't know that there was like a big sim racing scene in China until I started hearing about X-Ring and about all of the members in X-Ring.
Yeah, so basically, I think sim racing actually kind of had a boom growth after we had our first F1 driver Zhou Guanyu, which it attracted a lot. It was on the news, it was everywhere, and attracted a lot of people who wasn't into motorsport into it. And there was like a lot of events, a lot of companies trying to get into this wave as well. So that's how like they were promoting it. Just by setting up like sim rigs at shopping malls and stuff, you can try it out, and then some people find it fun, and then that's how like sim racing kind of blew up in 2023-ish, I think.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I think like it's really a big deal when you have like the very first Formula One driver that is coming from a country. And obviously, maybe not so much for me personally, but for many of the people in China, they obviously this sense of like they feel proud about having their first driver in like the very top of motorsport. So obviously not only for people who are currently doing racing, but also for people who are not racing, they will also know about this and start to get their interest in because people are naturally curious about this sort of stuff. So, especially back in the time when Zhou just debuted, there was a very big spike in the player count in mainland China. So it was a common theme across every title, and ACC probably being the biggest one. I would say second maybe like the AC and F1 scene. I'm not too familiar with these two games, but I've heard that it's also there was quite a big spikes there, and then it's sort of like just kept rolling from there because it's like it drew a lot of attention in, and then like it sort of like became this sort of chain effect where some people got into sim racing and then they found their interest in it, and then it sort of like just sort of like promotes itself when more people are aware of what's going on. And
Yeah.
in terms of esports, I would say it's improving. It's improving. I would say like having a few of us here being capable to race in SRO, whether it's like in the international GT championship or just the regional, like the Asia GT championship, it's sort of showing that there's some of us they're capable of doing what everyone else is doing in the esports scene. But yeah, definitely not as mature in terms of how this entire like racing culture goes in, because I think for most people in here they are sort of like stuck in like the casual level, which is fine, but I think for many of them they didn't really stay there because they're willing to stay there or like they choose to stay there. It's because many of them like who are trying to like really get good and improve on their skills and trying to race competitively, because as Huracan mentioned earlier, like the racing culture isn't particularly strong here in China, and it is not easy to for like an average person to just get into this thing and sort of like learn and picking up tips. So it's sort of a big deal for people here to really like join the racing team and have like a somewhat of a systematic approach to getting into this thing if you are trying to do it competitively. And I think maybe part of that is also down to like, you know, the typical stereotype Asian. You know, we have to like be good at everything. We have to dominate and get good results. At least that's what everyone thinks anyway. And yeah, I think naturally we are more trying to be a little bit more competitive in the things that we do, and that sort of shows after that spike that Zhou created, but it will still take time because we're still sort of behind in terms of like how we started this whole racing culture compared to, you know, everywhere else in the world, especially compared to Europe, which is currently you can arguably it's probably the most developed in terms of the racing culture. But yeah, it's a good thing that it's picking up and more people are starting to get into it, but it will take time. And I think at least for me in X-Ring and also in my other team, what I personally try to do is to like take in what I've learned and try to teach it and spread it to the people who are willing to improve and trying to get better at the game. So yeah, just trying to share this information as much as possible so people don't really feel like they are handicapped in terms of their knowledge when they approach into the game.
Mahiro, do you have any or Miyata too? Do you guys have anything you want to add, or did Huracan and Alphen kind of sum it all up pretty well?
Yeah, I think they summed it up pretty well. So I don't really have much
Yeah.
to add. Not really an esports player myself, so I don't really have much knowledge of the esports scene.
Yeah, the probably the only esport, arguably the strictly defining esport. I think the only driver here is Elvin. So we don't have much to say on this subject. We can only say, I mean, me myself is a real life driver as well, participating in karting series and recently trying to move up into lower level of formula racing. I would say that it's the racing culture in China is getting better, especially post-pandemic, because like pre-pandemic, it's actually not the pandemic. It's like pre-pandemic, there was like nothing. But like after, like post-pandemic, it's like you can see a lot of car companies, Chinese car companies, trying to get into the racing scene as well. For example, Lynk & Co. with their 03 at the WTCR. And as far as I know, there's so during pandemic, the racing license given out was actually like during like 2020 to 2022, you can't actually get any racing license. So to make that up, I think Lynk & Co. recently just started to get host a lot of license test, racing license test for towards college students. Like you can just pay like a really cheap amount of money, and then you can get into this lesson and you can take the license test, and then you can just get the racing license. I think that's a good thing. Speaking of racing license, I got mine recently as well. But I'm not a college student, so I got it through the formula class. But it's all the same. It's just.
What? It's all the same. You literally got your license in the freaking Formula 4 car, mate.
Yeah, but they got theirs in the Lynk & Co. 03. You could say they are doing similar. Actually, Formula 4 was a lot faster. Yeah. Anyways, so what I was saying was that it's the development of racing culture in China right now is like you feel like it's going down sometimes, but it's like going up sometimes. Like for example, the track that I'm closest to, Zhuhai, actually has rumors of getting tear down, and there was a confirmed track of GIC. GIC is confirmed getting tear down. So that's like 2 tracks in my province just like gone for now. And Zhuhai is a track that was nearly so close into hosting F1 back in 1998, I think. So it's really sad to see it get teared down. I actually had a really similar fate to Laguna Seca in some way, because like a year back, it had like noise complaint from resident building nearby, which were built after the track was built. So, but unlike Laguna Seca, which they had a lawsuit to go against them, Zhuhai actually just compensated, like they compromised for it. Like they really just limit the amount of cars allowed, every session, and they kind of even at one point required every car to go out with like mufflers on, and it's just bad. And now Zhuhai, nobody's visiting it, so I think it's going bankrupt. That's why it's like tearing down for now. So which is pretty sad. Sometimes it's like you can see parts of China getting really good stuff. Like the Shanghai part, they are getting the Lynk & Co. Training session, while here in Guangdong we are losing 2 tracks in the same year, which is something very sad. Yeah.
2024 is really a bad year in terms of like how many stuff we're losing. I'm not gonna even go into details on what it is, but I think if you know, you know. Yeah.
I mean, about the Zhou Guanyu deal, I don't think. I mean, some people in China, like even I think 70% of them holds negative thoughts on Zhou Guanyu now for saying like he sucks. Like, I think that's just going a bad way right now because like 2 years ago when he just first got into F1, everyone was like, "Oh my god, finally we have someone to represent us in Formula One." And now like 2 years later, he's not doing good. He's finishing last every race, and everyone on the Chinese internet be speaking bad about him, like just like speaking all the worst words you can think about.
Yeah, you're only as
Well-
good as your last race. That's what they said.
Yeah.
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 Well, to be fair, at least it's better than Pastor Maldonado.
No, because Maldonado at least got a race victory under his belt.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Zhou
not what
didn't
he's
got
known
it
for, though.
because obviously he was in a green tractor.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean,
He
a lot
got
of
a curse called Sauber,
it's really controversial in Chinese internet right now, whether it's Zhou Guanyu's skill issue or is it a Sauber issue, because like they often make comparison to Valtteri Bottas, which some speculate Valtteri Bottas got like absolutely 100 resource this season, but you know it's still very controversial. Anytime
whole-
after the race, after qualifying, even now, which the Singaporean qualifying just happened, you can see people fighting just because they think Zhou Guanyu sucks, or they think Zhou Guanyu is good, the car sucks. You can see these two types of people fighting. So yeah, it's
I mean,
not
it's always happening, but you know,
Yeah.
I think we always just tend to focus on what's more relevant to us. I think as much as like this is pretty much as bad as the Sergio Perez situation where people are constantly making a comparison. If arguably I would say the Perez situation is even worse. Like how people are making comparisons of like how much he's losing up to Max Verstappen, which you can argue that he is, but like I think people always miss this one thing where it's like how your performance is in a race. It's not just down to like one single element or a couple of elements, but rather how they interact with each other. So like for example, like you're talking about the Sauber situation. Yeah, the car is bad, but I think at the same time sometimes the car isn't really that bad, but when the car gives off this sort of like impression to the drivers, you would naturally drive it with a bit less confidence. And if you have done like a fair amount of races, you'll know how much confidence plays a part into how you perform. Sometimes it's not really like you can't do it or like you're bad at driving, but rather it's just like your confidence isn't really up to that level to allow you to let the stuff that you know flows out of you. When you lack that sort of confidence, you will start to hesitate and sort of think about like be very conscious about everything you do behind the wheels. So sometimes it can hurt those chances where like you're actually doing the right thing for the car if you're driving like subconsciously, but because your thought kicks in because you're not confident enough, and then it just starts to affect your driving. So it got into that situation where I think everyone have sort of been in this situation before where it's like, hey, I'm supposed to be able to do that, but somehow like what I'm driving right now, it's just everywhere. It's all over the show. I can't do stuff that I'm normally perfectly capable at. I think from time to time we run into these sorts of situation, and I don't think it's like single-handedly it can be just blamed on the like, oh, it's a driver's issue or a car's issue. I think sometimes it's more so about like a mix of a couple different things.
yeah,
my take.
that's why, you know, getting into sim racing or just racing in real life any way possible is like just it's good for the development of racing culture in China, because if you just sit in the car once, you race it, you would realize that this kind of issue. You would know how it feels like to race instead of just looking at the race and be like, okay, you suck at driving. No, you know, as a driver, I really have lost sympathy for Zhou because I think he deserves a bit better car, at least better than Sauber. And let's like put him in a Williams or Haas and let him have a chance to, you know, show what he's capable of, like a point scoring car, which he did during the Alfa Romeo period. He was doing good. So yeah, I think overall, I mean, for Zhou Guanyu, this 3 years of F1 career, he did decent for the first F1 driver of China. So yeah. Oh, and speaking about, I actually watched the video someone argued about another Chinese driver, Ye Yifei. He is a Ferrari LMH prototype driver. So
Who just so happens to win the last round in
won
Kota.
at Kota. So a lot of people started making comparisons saying, well, could it be possible that Ye Yifei is a better driver than Zhou Guanyu, that he actually won something. And I think it's just dumb. You can't just like compare like that. I mean, yeah, if he had like Ferrari as his car, it's really competitive in the grounds of WEC. So I mean, if you ever just driven in a race before, you would know that you cannot compare your skill. It's just like it's not. Driver skill isn't something that you can just directly compare.
Especially
at all. Yeah.
I would especially say when it comes to different disciplines too, because your driving style in WEC is different than Formula One, is different than NASCAR. There's a bunch of different, like, some things will carry over between disciplines, but like the handling of each car is also very different. I've heard like Formula One and karting, you try to slide you try to use the weight of the car to slide it through the corners, whereas NASCAR you're kind of having to manage your tires and use the banking of the corners a lot. So like I agree with you. You can't really argue like driver skills like that, especially in different disciplines.
Yeah. I would say it sometimes also applies to the same discipline as well, because I'm circling back to ACC again because I'm obsessed with it, obviously. Can you tell? I think sometimes I think everyone who's familiar with ACC would sort of know the things like people would still have this belief of there's a certain meta car in the game, even though in this current state there really isn't a meta. Like, as long as you're good with a car, you can drive it competitively. It shouldn't be an issue. But I've seen many complaints, and probably mainly on the Ferrari and the McLaren. It's that people always they sort of intentionally have to put down the weight of being capable of driving a Ferrari very quickly or being capable of driving a McLaren very quickly, and people are always quick to jump to a conclusion that it's the car. I'm not sure whether it is really a thing in outside of China, because I obviously don't really stick onto social media that much personally, but for me, at least in the Chinese racing scene, because we have this sort of a grand group for everyone who is racing in hypo. So it's all where we came into contact with I would say most of the sim racers who are active in China. And you always see this sort of complaint going around every once in a while. It's people argue about, oh, you're doing good at this track because you're in the Ferrari, or you're doing good at this track because you have the McLaren. And I think many people just forget about one thing, is that as much as on certain tracks, obviously there will be some characteristics that will be better suited than the others. Like, for example, if we're talking about maybe the McLaren, it's because it's a car that normally you run to lower downforce with, so it's very quick on tracks with a lot of high-speed corners and a lot of straights. So some people would be very quick to jump to conclusions, when someone did a very I would say decent lap time. Some most of the time they did they did decent lap time before they go on and post it in the group or anything like that. And then there will be this one person in the comment section or in the group responding to it and be like, oh, you're only really good at it because you're in the McLaren, or be like, oh, hey, this one thing as well, between ACC and iRacing. This never-ending battle of people saying how the physics in the ACC sucks, for the iRacing racers, and how the ACC racers think that iRacing physics sucks. This sort of debate. It's quite peculiar to me. It's just I think I like to think about these sort of things just driving different cars. They have different characteristics, but apparently it's a thing in sim racing that everyone likes to I guess sort of glorify the things that they do, or the things that they like in some sort of way. So I don't know, it's a very weird thing. It's just speaking about this this situation, the Zhou Guanyu situation sort of reminds me of this.
A few more things to ask. This one is kind of directed towards you mostly, Huracan, because I don't know if anyone else in X-Ring has actual racing experience. But what's it like to race karts and take what you know from racing on the track to the sim and vice versa?
Well, I think I used to think that I can take everything I know of cars into ACC, but it turns out it doesn't seem to be the case for now because cars, it has lower torque. You can literally, most of the case, you can literally just slam on the throttle as quick as possible when exiting the corner, but of course you can't do that in ACC, especially when you're on some low TC situation or raining or whatever. Yeah, but I think it's starting to go the other way around. My ACC is helping me with my karting. I'm currently racing some national series in China in karting. I used to have some consistency issues. But after practicing in ACC a bit more, having to run in these races that last for an hour long, you really just get the feeling of how to drive consistently. As I mentioned previously, I am an extreme overdriver, which really will make my time really inconsistent. But today, my first session was like I was practicing today at the track. So the first session was like a semi-dry condition. It will be called as greasy in ACC, that kind of condition. I was actually expecting myself to have like a 0.2 of a lap time flop up and down, but it was only about like 0.02 of a lap time flop, which really surprised me. For 15 laps, because for any factor like track evolving or like tire degradation or even just tire going pressure over too high or too high of a tire temp, it would all affect my lap time, but it didn't. I just did 15 lap and like there's like 13 of them that's like within like a 0.1 region. So, which really surprised me, and after that, it had like a huge rainstorm hitting the track. I had like a wet session, like a 2 or 3 wet session. I had because our karting track was actually kind of strange. If there's no, normal people trying to drive the rental cars, then they will just let us drive for as long as we want. Until there's someone trying to drive the rental car. So during that rain session, everyone went away. So I just drove for 40 laps straight, 40 laps on a wet compound during heavy rain. And even under that condition, my lap time was still consistent, which is something really scares me because I will consider myself as really slow and inconsistent in the rain because of my overdriving. I could actually I might just spin out or just have accidents easily in the rain previously, but 40 laps, nothing happened. And my lap time just varies with the amount of rain coming down. Like if it just comes down a lot, I just get a little bit slower. If it doesn't, it stops raining for a little bit, and then I get faster. I can't do that 3 months ago. There's no way I can do that. If I tell myself I can do that 3 months ago, I will say you are lying. You are absolutely lying. So yeah, that's the thing, and I think similar also helps with the formula racing as well. So in July I had my license test with the Formula 4. I would say it's something that karting would never teach a lot of things, especially like when you switch from karting, a small car that only weighs like 100 kilo, into something like a Formula 4 which weighs like a half a ton or something. And has like slight arrow, and it can go like 200 kilometers faster than your kart. Then everything changes. When I first got into it, I actually haven't driven any Formula 4 or similar, not even the iRacing. I actually met one of my sim racing friends over there. He's a semi-pro in iRacing, as he so called himself like that. So, yeah, he
Semi-pro.
Yeah.
He's kind of like me. He is an excessive overdriver. And
Except even worse.
Yeah, even worse. And he has even worse tempered than me. So, and we both are having similar personalities. We both, just eager to win. Even in like a license test, we were trying to see who can do the faster lap. So as soon as I saw him, I was like, "Wait, is that you?" He was like, "Wait, why are you here as well?" And we both said at the same time, "I'm gonna be faster than you this time."
The Spider-Man meme.
It's crazy. The Spider-Man meme. Yeah, exactly. It was crazy. And it was actually the comparison of sim racer to actual racer. I mean, I'm a half sim racer, half actual racer. I would consider myself 75% actual racer than sim racer because I don't think I haven't put enough effort into sim racing enough compared to him. He's like me, but changed the practice karting part into practice iRacing. So he said, "Oh, before I came here, I practiced the F4 long iRacing. I definitely know the car better than you, and I have practiced the track on a set of course as well, using the mods and stuff." I was like, "Okay, I haven't done anything at all."
That sounds like someone who's gonna go out there first out and spun on cold tires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did. He did that.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
no.
Literally, the coach was like,
course.
the coach was
Of
like,
course.
the coach was like during the first session, the coach was like, there was like some rain before the session, so the track was like semi-dry, greasy, and the coach was like, "Be careful, guys, especially the curbs, don't hit it."
The bad thing
And-
is that the context was a license test. It wasn't like a full-on
Yeah.
practice or test session. It was a
Yeah,
license test.
exactly.
And the last thing you want to do is to go out there and then just spin yourself 360 into the barrier or somewhat on cold tires.
So I had trouble starting the car because I don't know how to use the clutch, which is joke on me. I don't know how to use the clutch. But you know,
I think it's fair.
Yeah,
think
no, because I can't use a clutch, so
no, like it's like for like the Formula, like they have like the hand clutch sort of a thing, and it's definitely a lot more complicated than it was represented in most sim titles. Like you sort of have to like find the perfect, like you need a sequence to engage the firstly obviously start the engine while having the clutch in, and then you sort of like you need to have everything in the correct order, gear in, and then apply the power, and then have the clutch releasing in the correct rhythm, otherwise it's just gonna completely shut down the engine sort of stuff. So it's actually even more complicated than what you encounter in the just a normal manual car that you drive on the road.
Before like this license test, I've actually only test driven like a Formula 4 before. So I actually have an idea because like back then they only told me to release the clutch slowly and you'll be good. But then during this license test, I found out you actually had to give it some power. You had to actually be on the throttle, or else even if no matter how slow you release the clutch, the car will always shut down. So because like our pit stop was like in the paddock area of the track, then and because the track wasn't really that much used, so it was like in the parking lot area, and there was like civilian car parked right next to our Formula 4. And if I'm so worried that if I press on the throttle a lot and the car just like launch control and then just jump out, I will crash into some civilian car. So I was like so worried onto the gas, I didn't press it.
Yeet.
Yeah. I was so worried, and the coach came over. I was like, press the throttle. I was like, I don't dare to. And the whole grid, everyone else went away. It was only me restarting 5 times until I slightly pressed on the throttle for like 25%, and then launched the car away smoothly. So I was like lost out of the pit. And
that definitely reassures me of the fact that I didn't choose to go for a manual license when I did my driver's license test.
yeah,
Like, imagine the panic when you do that during the exam, and then the examiner just sitting right next to you, looking at you, be like,
I think that's the one thing that like American license tests don't, like license exams don't do. We don't separate between automatic and manual. It's literally just like, oh, hey, I'm gonna go get my license test done, get my license. Even if I've done it in an automatic, I can go to the car dealership. Hey, I want to buy a manual. Okay, do you know what you're doing? Absolutely not. Okay, well, you have the money to buy it, so here you go.
But I think it's somewhat fair. It's like do it at your own risk or stuff. Like assuming that you're buying the car with a license, you're a grown adult. You should be knowing what you're doing, unless you don't.
Anyways, back to the F4. I was last out of the pit and I was driving pretty slow because this was my first session. So me as a pretty much a real racer, I would say I wouldn't push on the first session now, especially on the new tire as it being rubbed out. It's like it's cold and the track is greasy. So there's no way I'm pushing the brakes. I'm not pushing the throttle. I'm just gonna learn the tracks bit by bit. And like 5 corners in, I saw a car like parked there horizontally in the apex, and I saw the car number, I saw the livery, I saw the dude waving. I was like, no way, it's him! Stop at turn 5, the first lap in, the out lap on turn 5, he spun it.
Hello there.
Hello.
He's literally doing every sim racer thing. He thinks he's still doing sim racing. He thinks like I can just push the breaking point as like I did it at certain course. I can just give throttle when I was on the apex and when I'm on the curb. He did it.
Honestly, though, I would not blame it on sim racing because that sounds like someone who's never touched the Super Formula in iRacing. Like, you can't do that on the first lap on those cold tires. Like, it is basically
track,
like driving on soap.
Please.
If you have driven the Super Formula on the first lap, like it's a car that takes a long time to heat up its tires.
So after that session, we went back. The coach was looking at everyone's on board. Everyone it was at his turn. We saw he went on an out lap, and then he was like pushing every corner he can on the turn 5. There was that curb, which the coach specifically said you don't want to eat it, especially on this track condition. He did it, and he was on the curb with his rear tire on it. He pushed the throttle to the fullest. Like, how are you gonna make it out?
Just doing a 360 no scope.
Yeah, his car literally just shut down there on the track. He doesn't know how to restart it back up. Oh my god, I was having a laugh out of it.
The funniest part is that knowing that the context is a license test. Like I still remember that morning. Like I was in the group. Like so we were talking about like Huracan's having the Formula 4 license test. And I was like, okay, so this is a license test. So you know the drill. You know how you are when you're behind the wheel. So you obviously want to be a little bit more cautious and don't do anything silly. And then there we are, having his friend literally doing a heroic into, well, not stand vault this time, but you know, a casual little 360 no scope just to show everyone how it's done. It's just like I remember like I was hearing this. Like, I was seeing this chat in the group, and I was like, how? Just...
Yeah, you wouldn't even take the license test. You wouldn't even take the license test in Gran Turismo that way, bro. You won't want to do that.
Oi, don't do that. Don't do that to Gran Turismo 30, okay? Those license tests, they are a lot more difficult than you think.
Oh gosh, I still haven't done all of the license tests in GT7.
I think Miyata has done all of them.
Yeah, I finished off them. Like even when the new ones came in, I did on day 1.
I think you gold all of them.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Jeez.
Goat.
Yeah.
You're the goat. You should be fine for the Formula 1 championship. Get Red Bull signed you up right now.
right now. Get Perils out now, now.
Just going all the
get Verstappen out here, damn.
The real goat move will be trying to do that in Gran Turismo 4.
Oh yeah.
The license test.
Yeah.
The classic.
But I barely got any gold on Gran Turismo 4. Those ones are
but like
difficult.
for like even the new Gran Turismo, I would say it's easy for sports, but it's not easy at all for GT7. I tried it on like I was on the controller, but Gran Turismo is a fairly optimized game for controller. So I don't really think my speed was compromised there, but man, those license tests took me a few tries. Like for the GT3 ones, I was fine because I was familiar with the with how the GT3 behaves generally. But like for some of the tests, like fuel saving and like some of the time trials, like especially rally, I suck at rally for some reason. The drift challenges are also not easy. Like just generally, I found it to be a lot more challenging than I anticipated, and I'm not gonna lie, that sinked my confidence a little bit. I doubt it for myself, but yeah. It's sort of like the fun of Gran Turismo. It's a great game. Even though I don't think I play it enough. That's what I would say.
Back to the F4 stuff. He, for 6 sessions straight in 2 days period, he had, if I counted using the iRacing incident point, he will be disqualified already. I'm just telling you.
No.
He had like 5.
Were we talking about like he would have got disqualified by noon? Like before you guys had like lunch or something? I think he spun like what? He spun twice or 3 times in the morning?
Twice, and like 5 locks ups and off track.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
On the second day he did. On the second day, he did the worst thing that a human could ever been doing. He crashed into someone during a license test.
Oh no!
He literally, there was like a slower car.
No. Anyway.
Because that driver was like a 14-year-old. I don't know why he's here, but okay, he's here. He was like 20 seconds slower as per lap. That's fine. It's a license test.
Clearly, it is young Max Verstappen.
Helmets.
No, that's a young Kimi Antonelli in the building. Just watch out, you kids.
Yeah. Anyways, he was slow, and he's 14. He doesn't really know how to handle these cars very well. So my friend here, he really wants to get past on that car really quickly. So he saw that car was on the outer lane during the entry of the corner. So he thought this car would probably give the position. So he just literally dived into it, and then the car just literally closed up on him. Like he literally dived into it without even having his front wheel to the rear wheel of the car in front, and the car closed in. He locked up, crashing into him and T-boning him.
The vortex of danger. Yep.
Yep. My god.
Over here, we like to call it the 5-second dive because we've done it a few times in SRO, and then in just a span of one races, we got disqualified because we've done way too many overtakes with contact.
He scrapped his front wing. When he came back, the side plates were kinda distorted. I think that's the right word. It's kind of broken.
And the most ridiculous bit is like you all got the license, haven't you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a basically pay to win situation. As long as you don't totally wreck the car, I think you're fine. But I think he's like, if you put him in a license test of other country, he will definitely not pass because
I think most won't.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't want such dangerous drivers on the track. Holy crap! I wouldn't want to race with this dude. Holy crap!
I think the closest equivalent I've seen is like if they were to compete in the GT Academy back when that was a thing, they'd probably be out like the first or second
yeah, just
round.
like
First session.
Yeah.
First session, and then you're fired. Get out of here.
Get you a hat and a t-shirt for GT Academy. That's all you get.
So if we count it, he had like 5 off track, 3 lose control, and 1 collision. That's enough incident point to get him off the track in iRacing. He called self-proclaimed himself as iRacing Pro, and after the session, I was like, bro, if this is iRacing, you're already black flag, bro. And eventually he was like, the result is like he's 0.1 faster than me. All these pushing for only 0.1 faster than me.
Honestly, I think the most important bit is not really about like the lap time. It's the fact that you guys are doing a freaking license test. And
competition.
Somehow you think that it was a good idea to like go full send in a Formula 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That corner was basically like Kalami.
Do that in a Formula 1.
The Kalami hairpin at the top of the mountain.
Oh yeah.
So the track we were having the test on, Nimble, also has a corner very similar to that. So he basically did a full dive into that corner while a car was turning into it, locking the car and then crashing into it. That's crazy. That's absolutely insane.
That, like, just speaking of that hairpin in Kyalami, it's a great place for overtaking, but at the same time, because it's such a great place for overtaking, it also lends itself into a lot of incidents. And it happens across all skill levels. I've seen way too many incidents. For some reason, the esport races as well, it's just holy crap. Everyone is not giving an inch, even when they should.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's on the
Jardier's
sim
opinion
racing or like
of course, I did that sneaky little bump on Jardier when I was overtaking him. the exact same corner. Like, it was a fun story. I was racing in the RCI 6 Hours Championship with another team, and it was during one of the stints where, like, because for that race it's very special in terms of where you have a 6-hour race but you only have 4 tires available, so you sort of have to, like, for certain, I think it was like for 2 of the stints you have to run on old tires. So everyone like chooses a different strategy in terms of like when they want to use these old tires. Some choose to opt to use it early because the later you get into the race, the higher the temperature will go, so they want to have the new tires by then. But for us, because we're starting a little bit further behind, so we are opted to use the new tires first before we go into the olds. So it was during this period of time where I was on new tires, and then Jardier was on an old set of tire, and then I was catching up to him, and like you know those things was like when you reach a certain level in racing, like everyone sort of had this sort of like unspoken agreement where it's like, if you know the car behind you is running a different strategy, usually you won't try to like affect them. And he didn't, I saw like opted to go for the inside in the corner that we mentioned, like the uphill hairpin that we're mentioning. So I got the overtaking done. It wasn't until like I got like halfway into the corner because we were driving the Mustang, right? And the car just started to slightly overload at the very last minute before I get it. Last moment before I get into the apex, so I was like trying hard to get the car turned in. So looking back on Jardier's POV, it looks like I intentionally sort of like let the car go wide and sort of like bumped him a little bit. But on my POV, I was just sort of like just panicking, trying to wrestle the car down, like
Fighting for your life,
this sort of a thing.
holding on to dear life.
Yeah, I was holding on to dear life at that corner, but it was a fun little story. Johnny wasn't quite happy about it to say, but yeah, it's just a fun little thing that Miyata bring up. So I just thought I'd mention.
Yeah.
All right. I know, Alvin, you've got to head on out. I probably do too, because TGT starts in about an hour and a half. So anything y'all wanna promote? Any upcoming plans for any of y'all? Kind of plug yourselves a little bit. Share where the listeners can find you at your socials.
Oh well, we are all on Bilibili, so I think the website is like basically you are unaccessible if you are like foreigner or something. Like you're a foreign IP, you can't access it.
I think I was able to click on the go to the site, but
it's
I can't read anything.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. Then you actually landed on the
it's
Chinese
the
side.
same thing as Rena getting into using QQ. Basically, you just can't understand.
Yeah. Basically, this thing is.
I would
double
say
weight.
the one plug that we can do is there are team socials on Twitter. So
The only stuff.
plug. Make sure to follow
Twitter,
that.
Yep.
And stay tuned to I guess you could say me reincarnating, even though I think everyone just still sort of recognize me as what I am, but I don't care. I'm doing it because okay, this is this little interesting story that I sort of want to just bring up shortly is that I didn't join the team as a VTuber, but I sort of like became a fan of the VTubing culture as I was spending my time in the team, and I just decided that, you know what, I think this will be something that I sort of want to do. Even though I'm sort of like introverted, as I mentioned earlier, but I still like to express myself in some shape or form. So I figured that this would probably be the best thing for me to sort of like, tick a box off my checklist. So just plug that. Just stay tuned to maybe a certain someone called Mahiro Miyamoto is going to appear somewhere on the internet in the foreseeable future. So again, plug.
Speaking about promoting social media, we had just released our new song and a new group photo, which costed me heavily economically wise. It's not a financially very good decision, but it was a good decision. I mean, look, we got like 10 people, 5 cars in a commission picture, and we have our own theme song right now. So go check that out if you can. So the next step, if you ask me, would be Fantasy League and more Vtracc. For Vtracc, we have someone new coming under our name that's gonna race. Probably, if she can sort her email issue with the Discord out, she will be.
Oh god.
She will be in Vtracc in Silverstone driving the 296, which we haven't enabled in a whole year of time. Watch it return with a new livery. Stay tuned.
Awesome.
I'd like to take my time to thank our video sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends.
Oh no! Bro, you will be scaring the heck out of all the like the viewers who weren't watching the video, but just like turn it off.
Those moments where it would be like, imagine you pay for YouTube Premium and still get unskippable ads.
Oh
my god! No, that sucks.
Oh gosh, YouTube Premium. The video. Today's video is sponsored by. I'm like, no. At least make it funny if it's gonna be in the video.
Yeah,
that's why I especially appreciate those content creators. They have like a progress bar, or they put their promotion onto like the very last bit of the video.
Well, so, we are really,
you can always choose to skip it if you want to.
Well, to be fair,
though, Raid Shadow Legends is pretty funny.
no, no.
Hashtag not sponsored.
It-
YouTube, don't
it's-
block me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, if technically speaking, this video could be sponsored by Ego, the official sponsor of our team. Which, if you don't know, trivia, Ego is official sponsor of the McLaren F1 team back in 2007. You can see it right next to the Vodafone logo on the side pod, like the driver pod of the car, which is now officially sponsoring us. So in some ways, we equal to the 2007 McLaren Formula One team. Yay.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Of course.
Except you don't have a Lewis Hamilton and a Jensen Button.
Well, you could be. You could be the Lewis Hamilton as long as if you don't
Oh god, don't
get
even
stuck.
mention that.
If you as long as you don't stuck on the pit entry of Shanghai, I think you'd be good. You can win
yeah.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah, or having a
2007.
gearbox issue around Interlagos.
Oh no. It's tragedy. Yeah. Anyways.
Our team is as reliable as early 2000s McLaren, so no worries.
Yeah, as reliable as a 2015 Honda engine.
Oh no.
Yeah.
GP2 engine. GP2.
Yeah.
Ah.
Oh man.
All right. I think that'll do it for us. So stay tuned for next week for Racing VTuber News. We'll probably go over the Vtracc results for the next race, which is at Silverstone. That's going to be interesting. Please no rain. Please no rain. Please no rain. Because
There will be.
I think
no
there
way.
will be.
There
I
will
think
be.
there
It's
will
in the
be.
UK.
yeah, so is
Well,
Olden, but I
someone
haven't gotten any
based
rain at
here
the
in
practice
UK.
session in Olden yet.
I mean, if you go to the
let's see.
Vtracc practice server right now, it has a 50-50 chance of raining.
Oh, okay, great. That's great. All right, that's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah, that's what happens when you have like half of the calendar that's in the UK. That's
Oh no.
that
Yeah,
is the Great Britain for you.
yeah, that's written for us. But that'll do it for us.
Yeah.
We'll catch you on the next one. Stay safe, and remember, this is your one-stop pit stop area for anything Racing VTuber news.